Are you tired of watching your goals slip through your fingers? Tired of feeling motivated one day and defeated the next? Imagine waking up every morning with unstoppable energy, laser-sharp focus, and the kind of discipline that makes success inevitable. Imagine turning your dreams into reality, not someday, not maybe, but starting today. Discipline isn't about willpower. It's about mastery, habits, and a purpose so compelling it pulls you forward no matter what. Today, I'm going to show you 7 powerful steps that will transform your life, ignite your inner fire, and make discipline your superpower. You see, discipline is not about forcing yourself to do things you hate or punishing yourself for not doing enough. That's what most people think. They imagine it's about waking up at 5 a.m., grinding through hours of work, and depriving yourself of anything that feels good. But the truth is, discipline isn't external, it's internal. It comes from a reason so compelling that it drives you forward even when every cell in your body is screaming to quit. And that reason, the real reason you wake up in the morning and chase your goals, is your why. Not just a casual, I want more money or I want to get fit, but a why that shakes you to your core. It's the fire that burns in your soul, the thing that makes you unstoppable, the reason you refuse to settle for mediocrity. You have to understand something very powerful. Without a strong why, discipline is fragile. It crumbles at the first sign of discomfort. It evaporates when life throws a curveball. I want you to imagine for a moment waking up tomorrow and having nothing to drive you, nothing to anchor you. You go through the motions, distracted, tired, unmotivated. That's what happens when your why is weak or unclear. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine a why so strong, so vivid, that even in the face of fear, doubt, or fatigue, you keep moving forward. You make the call, you write the page, you do the work, you run the mile, you show up every day, no excuses. That's the power of a why. That's the foundation of discipline. And here's what most people get wrong. They think their why has to be some grand abstract idea like changing the world or becoming a legend. But that's not true. Your why has to be personal. It has to resonate with you so deeply that it connects to your heart, your family, your sense of purpose. Maybe it's to give your children the life you never had. Maybe it's to break a cycle, to prove to yourself that you're capable of more. Maybe it's about being able to look in the mirror and say, I didn't waste this life. That kind of why grabs you by the shoulders and shakes you awake. That's the kind of why that fuels real discipline. Here's another truth. Your why doesn't just inspire action. It protects you from giving up when life gets hard. Because life will get hard. Challenges will come. Opportunities will vanish. Pain will visit you in ways you didn't expect. But when your why is clear, every struggle, every setback becomes fuel. Instead of asking yourself, why is this happening to me? You ask, how is this going to get me closer to my why? You shift your perspective. You take ownership. You rise. And rising is exactly what discipline demands. It demands that you keep showing up, that you keep moving, that you refuse to quit, not because you're forcing yourself to, but because your why is bigger than the pain. Now, let's get practical for a moment. How do you find that why? How do you define it so clearly that it actually moves you? Start by asking yourself the hard questions, not the easy, surface level questions, but the ones that make you squirm. Ask yourself, what am I willing to suffer for? What am I not willing to compromise on? If I only had 1 year to live, what would I spend my time doing? Sit with those answers. Don't ignore the discomfort. Don't brush it off. That's the place where your why lives, in the discomfort, in the honesty, in the realization that your life is your responsibility. When you face that truth, you'll begin to see patterns, desires, and purposes that you've ignored or buried under distraction. That's your raw material. That's the seed of your why. And once you find it, you have to make it vivid. You have to bring it to life in your mind every day. Don't just think it, feel it. Picture the life you're building. Picture the impact you're creating. Picture the person you're becoming. Connect with the emotions, the pride, the relief, the joy, the satisfaction. When your why is emotional, it becomes magnetic. It pulls you forward even when your motivation wavers, because motivation comes and goes, but emotion is relentless. Discipline is rooted in emotion. It's anchored in your heart, not just your head. You also have to connect your why to something bigger than yourself, not in a vague, I want to help humanity kind of way, but in a tangible, real way. Your why becomes more powerful when it's tied to someone else, to a family member, to a community, to someone who depends on you or believes in you. When your why extends beyond your personal comfort, you start taking action automatically. You start making sacrifices not out of guilt, but out of love and responsibility. That's the real secret. Discipline is easiest when it's not about you. It's about someone or something bigger than you. And here's a critical point that too many people ignore. Your why is not static. It evolves as you evolve. The person you are today may have a different why than the person you'll be in 5 years. That's okay. That's necessary. The important thing is that at any given moment, your why must be crystal clear. If your why fades or becomes weak, discipline fades with it. If you feel yourself losing your edge, revisiting and redefining your why is the fastest way to get it back. Your why is the compass. Discipline is the path. Without the compass, you'll wander. With it, you'll move with unstoppable precision. Now, let me be blunt. Most people fail not because they lack talent, intelligence, or opportunity. They fail because their why isn't strong enough. They don't have a reason that makes the discomfort of discipline worth enduring. And the moment life gets hard, they quit. But you don't have to be most people. You can start today, right now, by finding your why, embracing it, and letting it fuel every action. When you do, you'll realize something extraordinary. Discipline stops being a chore and starts being a natural consequence of living with purpose. You don't have to push yourself because the force is already inside you. You don't have to fight your resistance because your why is bigger than it. You don't have to negotiate with your excuses because they no longer matter. So I want you to take a moment right now to imagine your life if you could define your why with absolute clarity. Imagine waking up every day with a reason so compelling that you can't help but show up. Imagine moving through the world with focus, energy, and relentless drive. Imagine accomplishing things you thought were impossible, not because you forced yourself, but because you were following the fire that burns within you. That's the power of a why. That's the foundation of discipline. And that's where your journey begins. Discipline begins the moment your why becomes bigger than your excuses. Now that you've found your why, now that you know the fire that drives you, it's time to turn that fire into action. But here's the thing, purpose alone isn't enough. Inspiration can get you started, but without direction, without a clear path, it fizzles. And this is where goals come in, not just any goals, but unbreakable goals, the kind that anchor your focus, sharpen your discipline, and make every day a step forward. You see, most people fail at discipline, not because they lack willpower, but because they lack clarity. They float from task to task, project to project, hoping that by sheer effort something will stick. But discipline is precise. Discipline is about setting your target and hitting it again and again with intentionality. And you can't hit a target you haven't defined. Let's be honest. How many people wander through life with vague ideas? I want to be successful. I want to be rich. I want to be healthier. Those statements sound good, but they don't move the needle. They're too abstract, too general, and they leave room for excuses. You need goals that are vivid, specific, and measurable. When your goal is clear, your brain can see the path. When your goal is measurable, your progress is undeniable. And when your goal is actionable, your discipline has something to do. It's like having a GPS for your life. Without it, you wander. With it, you move with purpose. I want you to imagine your life 5 years from now if you didn't set real goals. Where would you be? Same place you are today. Probably frustrated, overwhelmed, wishing for something better, but never committing. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine if you had clearly defined non-negotiable goals. Imagine knowing exactly where you want to go, how you're going to get there, and what success looks like. Every morning you wake up with a mission, a set of milestones, and a map. Every day your actions align with your vision. That's not luck. That's discipline powered by clarity. Here's a practical truth. Not all goals are created equal. Some are aspirational, some are operational, and some are transformative. Aspirational goals inspire you. They light the fire in your heart. Operational goals structure your daily actions. They build momentum. Transformative goals change who you are at the core. The most powerful strategy is to combine all three. Set goals that stretch you, goals that organize you, and goals that ultimately transform you into the person capable of achieving what most people only dream about. That combination turns discipline from a chore into a lifestyle. Now, let's talk about the process. How do you actually set goals that stick? Start by defining your vision. Not a vague I want more, but a crystal clear picture. Visualize it, write it down, feel it, engage your emotions as deeply as your intellect. Your brain doesn't just respond to words, it responds to feelings. When you feel your goal as vividly as a memory, you prime your body and mind to take action automatically. Then break that vision into measurable milestones. Every goal must have a number, a date, or a clear indicator of progress. Without measurable milestones, you're flying blind. You won't know if you're moving forward, if you're stuck, or if your efforts are wasted. And here's the part most people avoid. Your goals must be uncomfortable. If your goals are easy, they won't grow you. If they're safe, they won't stretch your capacity. Discipline thrives on challenge. It thrives on resistance. You don't become disciplined by doing what's convenient or comfortable. You become disciplined by taking on what scares you, what stretches you, what demands everything you have, and then some. That's where growth lives. That's where excellence lives. That's where your unbreakable goals transform into unstoppable action. Now, there's a mistake I see people make all the time. They set goals, but don't integrate them into their daily life. A goal on paper is nothing more than a wish. A goal in your mind is fleeting unless you anchor it to your daily actions. Discipline is not about long-term vision alone. It's about daily execution. That means every task you take, every choice you make, every hour you spend must align with the goal. If it doesn't, it's a distraction. And every distraction is a tiny erosion of your discipline. That's why the most successful people don't just set goals. They design their days, their weeks, and their months around achieving them. They make every action intentional. They eliminate what doesn't serve them. They protect their energy. They protect their focus. And here's another critical truth. Accountability amplifies goal setting exponentially. You can set the clearest, most specific goal in the world, but if you don't share it, if you don't make it real to someone or something beyond yourself, it's easy to let it slip. That's why mentors, coaches, partners, and communities are so powerful. They remind you of your commitment when your motivation wanes. They celebrate your victories and challenge your excuses. Accountability isn't just external pressure. It's a reinforcement of your internal discipline. When your goals are witnessed, they gain gravity. They gain urgency. They become non-negotiable. Let's also talk about flexibility within discipline. Clear goals don't mean rigidity. Life will challenge you, opportunities will shift, obstacles will arise. But here's the beauty. When your goal is clear, when your milestones are defined, you can adapt without losing focus. Discipline isn't about blindly following a plan. It's about following the path of your goal. Even if the path twists and turns, you can adjust your methods, but you cannot abandon the destination. That's the difference between short-term effort and lifelong success. And finally, I want to stress the emotional dimension. Goals are not just numbers or achievements. They're the embodiment of your why. Your why fuels them. Your vision gives them meaning. Every time you connect your goal to the emotions you care about, the pride, the security, the love, the freedom, you make your discipline automatic. You no longer have to push yourself with sheer willpower alone. Your emotional connection pulls you forward. Motivation becomes consistent, not sporadic. Discipline becomes natural, not forced. So take a moment right now and picture your life 5 years from today with unbreakable goals. Picture waking up every morning with clarity, focus, and energy. Picture measuring your progress, celebrating your wins, learning from your setbacks, and adjusting without losing momentum. Picture yourself growing into the person who can achieve what you once thought impossible. That's not a dream. That's discipline in action. That's the power of turning a compelling why into goals that move your life forward, one deliberate step at a time. Discipline is born when your goals are so clear, so compelling, and so aligned with your purpose that every action becomes inevitable. Now that you've discovered your why and set goals that are unbreakable, there's something critical that determines whether you will achieve them or not. Something most people overlook entirely, your daily rituals. You see, most people believe discipline is about willpower. They imagine that showing up every day, grinding it out, and forcing themselves to push through is the answer. But that's a trap. Willpower is finite. It fades, it burns out, and it leaves you exhausted. Discipline, real discipline, is built through rituals, automatic behaviors, routines, and habits that structure your day so that your success becomes inevitable. It's not about trying harder. It's about designing your life so that the right actions happen naturally. Think about it for a moment. Every single person you know who is highly successful, highly productive, or highly disciplined has daily routines that support their vision. They don't rely on motivation alone. They don't wake up hoping they'll feel like working. They wake up and follow the process they've created for themselves. Your rituals are the scaffolding of your life. They give your goals a practical, actionable framework. They take your why and your goals and translate them into consistent action day after day, week after week, month after month. That is the essence of mastery. Here's what most people do instead. They wait for motivation to strike. They say, I'll start tomorrow. I'll get back on track next week. I'll do it when I feel like it. And here's the hard truth. Feeling like it is not a strategy. Motivation is fleeting. Discipline that is tied to emotion alone will crumble under stress, under fatigue, under distraction. Rituals, however, don't depend on mood. They are habits that create momentum. automatically. When you have a ritual, you remove the need for constant decision-making. You remove the friction. You create an environment where discipline happens without thought. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine someone who wants to get fit. They set a goal to work out every day. On Monday, they're motivated. On Tuesday, a little tired. Wednesday, overwhelmed. By Thursday, they start making excuses. But now imagine if, instead of relying on willpower, they've built a ritual. They wake up at the same time every day, drink a glass of water, put on their workout clothes, and do a 20-minute session before breakfast. The ritual doesn't care about how they feel. It's built into the day. No debate, no negotiation. Action happens automatically. That's the power of daily rituals. They make consistency unavoidable. Now, building effective rituals isn't random. You have to design them intentionally. Every ritual should serve your goals and your why. It should reinforce the life you want to live, not distract from it. Ask yourself, does this habit bring me closer to my vision, or is it just a comfort that keeps me stagnant? If it doesn't serve you, it's not discipline, it's a distraction. Discipline is about what you choose to include, not just what you avoid. And the beauty of well-designed rituals is that they don't feel like punishment. They feel like the natural expression of the person you're becoming. They become part of your identity. You stop saying, I have to do this, and start saying, this is who I am. One of the most powerful aspects of rituals is their compounding effect. Small actions repeated consistently create enormous results over time. You might think 20 minutes a day, that's nothing. But 20 minutes a day, every day, compounds into hundreds of hours over a year. Every action reinforces another. Every habit strengthens your discipline muscle. That's why rituals matter more than occasional bursts of effort. Momentum is built through consistency, not intensity. And the more your rituals align with your goals, the more unstoppable you become. Now, here's a mistake I see often. People create rituals without tying them to emotion or identity. They go through the motions mechanically and burn out quickly. Rituals must be meaningful. They must connect to your why and your goals. You have to feel that this routine is not arbitrary. It is a deliberate choice to live the life you've defined for yourself. When your rituals carry meaning, when they resonate emotionally, you don't just perform them, you embody them. You don't just check a box, you grow, evolve, and reinforce your identity as someone disciplined, focused, and unstoppable. And here's something even more important. Your environment plays a massive role in shaping your rituals. Your space, your schedule, the people around you, they all influence your behavior, whether you realize it or not. If you want to make discipline easy, design an environment that removes friction and supports your habits. Keep distractions out. Make your tools accessible. Surround yourself with people who reflect the discipline and energy you aspire to. Your environment either amplifies your discipline or undermines it. The choice is yours, but make no mistake, the impact is massive. Let's also talk about energy and timing. Discipline is not about punishing yourself. It's about optimizing your natural rhythms. You have high energy periods during the day and low energy periods. Align your most important rituals with your high energy windows. Do your deep work, your exercise, your planning, your growth activities when your energy is at its peak. Use your low energy periods for maintenance, organization, and reflection. When you work with your body instead of against it, your rituals flow naturally and discipline becomes effortless. Now, building rituals doesn't happen overnight. You have to start small but consistently. Pick one habit that will make the biggest difference and focus on it relentlessly until it becomes automatic. Then add the next. Gradually, your day becomes a series of intentional actions that compound into massive results. Don't try to change everything at once. That's a recipe for failure. Start with what matters most and layer your habits like building blocks. That's how you create a life where discipline is not an effort, but a natural outcome. And here's a final truth that ties everything together. Rituals are not just about what you do. They are about who you become. Every repeated action shapes your identity. Every consistent habit rewires your brain and reinforces the person you see yourself as. You don't build discipline by thinking about discipline. You build discipline by acting like a disciplined person day after day. Your rituals are the expression of your highest self, the vehicle that transforms your goals from vision into reality. So take a moment now and visualize your day with powerful rituals. Imagine waking up with structure, purpose, and energy. Imagine acting in alignment with your goals without hesitation. Imagine the momentum building naturally, day after day, habit after habit, until the person you were yesterday is unrecognizable compared to the person you're becoming. That is the power of daily rituals. That is how discipline becomes automatic. That is how you master your life. Discipline becomes effortless the moment your rituals make success inevitable. Now that you've discovered your why, set unbreakable goals, and built daily rituals. There's one more truth you need to understand about discipline. Discipline is not just about time management, it's about energy management. Most people make the mistake of thinking that discipline is about squeezing more hours into the day, about waking up earlier, working longer, or pushing through exhaustion. That's a misconception. You can schedule all the tasks you want, but if your energy is low, your focus is weak, and your mind is tired, you will never execute with consistency. Discipline thrives when your body, mind, and emotions are optimized, when your energy is aligned with your purpose, and when you're fully charged to take action. Let's be honest, there are days when you feel unstoppable and days when you feel like you're dragging through mud. The difference between those days is not always motivation, it's energy. Energy fuels action. Without it, even the clearest goals and the most compelling why won't result in progress. That's why managing your energy is as critical as setting goals or building habits. And managing your energy isn't just about caffeine or pushing yourself harder. It's about understanding yourself, your rhythms, and the science of performance. First, let's talk about the basics: sleep. You can't discipline a body that's exhausted. You can't make optimal decisions, focus on your priorities, or sustain long-term effort if you're running on fumes. Sleep is not optional. It's non-negotiable. It is the foundation of energy. When you sleep well, your brain processes information, your body repairs itself, and your emotions stabilize. Poor sleep, even just a few nights in a row, erodes your willpower, clouds your judgment, and makes even the simplest tasks feel impossible. Discipline is not about forcing yourself through fatigue. It's about fueling yourself so that discipline becomes natural. Nutrition is another cornerstone of energy. What you put into your body directly affects how you perform, how focused you are, and how resilient you are under pressure. Sugar, processed foods, and constant snacking create spikes and crashes that sabotage your focus. Real energy comes from fueling yourself with nutrient-dense foods, hydrating consistently, and giving your body the building blocks it needs to operate at its best. When your body has stable, high-quality energy, your mind can focus on your why, your goals, and your actions, rather than on cravings or fatigue. Discipline then becomes easier, not harder, because you're operating from a position of strength. Exercise is often underestimated when it comes to discipline. People think of exercise as just for fitness or appearance, but movement is a powerful tool for energy, mental clarity, and focus. When you exercise, your body releases endorphins, your circulation improves, and your brain floods with chemicals that sharpen cognition and resilience. Discipline requires sustained energy, and exercise is the most reliable way to generate that energy consistently. Even short, deliberate movement each day, walking, stretching, strength training, can dramatically boost your capacity to stay disciplined in all areas of life. But managing energy isn't just physical, it's mental and emotional as well. Your focus is a finite resource, and your emotional state determines how effectively you use it. Stress, unresolved conflict, or negative thinking can drain your mental energy faster than any physical task. That's why discipline requires not just action, but emotional mastery. You must learn to manage your thoughts, to cultivate optimism, to focus on what you can control, and to let go of what you cannot. Emotional energy is contagious. If you can regulate it, you can channel it into action. If you let it control you, it will sap your drive and undermine your discipline. And here's where alignment comes into play. Discipline becomes effortless when your actions align with your energy peaks. We all have natural rhythms, moments when our mind is sharpest, our creativity flows, and our willpower is strongest. Identify those windows and schedule your most important high-impact tasks during them. Don't waste your peak energy on trivial matters. Leave low energy periods for maintenance tasks, reflection, or rest. When you work in alignment with your energy instead of against it, you'll accomplish far more in less time, and discipline stops being a struggle. It becomes a natural consequence of your flow. Another critical element of energy management is recovery. Most people think discipline is about pushing through, about never stopping. That's a recipe for burnout. True discipline knows when to rest, recharge, and reflect. Recovery is not weakness, it's strategy. It's what allows you to maintain high performance over weeks, months, and years. Short bursts of effort without recovery may produce temporary results, but they are not sustainable. Discipline that is fueled by energy management is resilient, consistent, and long-lasting. Environment also plays a significant role in energy. Your surroundings, the people you spend time with, and even the clutter in your space can drain or boost your energy. Discipline is easier when you create an environment that supports focus, creativity, and action. Remove distractions, simplify your space, and surround yourself with people who energize you rather than drain you. Your energy is contagious, and when you align your environment with your goals and your why, discipline becomes almost automatic. And here's a subtle but crucial point. Energy management is a feedback loop. The more aligned your energy is with your actions, the more momentum you generate. Momentum fuels motivation. Motivation fuels guidance, and confidence reinforces your discipline. It's not a linear path, it's a compounding cycle. Every choice you make to manage your sleep, nutrition, exercise, mental focus, and emotional state compounds into greater capacity for action, greater clarity of purpose, and greater resilience under pressure. Discipline, in this sense, is not a skill you force. It's a state you cultivate through aligned energy. Finally, understand this. Energy is not just a tool for discipline. It's the foundation of living at your highest level. Without it, even the most compelling why, the clearest goals, and the most structured rituals will fail under stress, fatigue, and resistance. With it, you can execute consistently, respond creatively to challenges, and sustain long-term growth. Managing your energy is not optional, it is non-negotiable. Every decision you make about sleep, nutrition, movement, focus, and emotional state either strengthens or undermines your capacity for discipline. So I want you to picture your life from now on, not just in terms of tasks or goals, but in terms of energy. Picture yourself waking up rested, fueled, and focused. Picture your mind sharp, your body strong, and your emotions balanced. Picture every action flowing naturally from this energy, every task aligned with your goals and your why. When you manage your energy, discipline is no longer a battle. It becomes a state of being, a force that propels you forward effortlessly, day after day, step after step, closer to the life you've defined for yourself. Discipline is strongest when your energy is fully aligned with your purpose and your actions. Now that you've aligned your energy with your purpose, structured your rituals, and set goals that are unbreakable, it's time to confront one of the most powerful truths about discipline, growth, mastery, and achievement. Demand that you embrace pain and delay gratification. Most people shy away from discomfort. They avoid challenges, postpone hard decisions, and seek immediate pleasure instead of long-term reward. But here's the truth. Discipline is forged in discomfort. It is sculpted by the very moments you feel like quitting, by the resistance you encounter when you push beyond what feels safe and familiar. Without embracing pain, without learning to tolerate temporary discomfort, your why, your goals, your rituals, they will not be enough. We live in a world that conditions us to want everything now. Instant results, instant satisfaction, instant gratification, it's everywhere. And when you chase short-term pleasure, you sacrifice long-term success. Every time you choose the easy path, you weaken your capacity for discipline. Every time you surrender to comfort, you reinforce the habits that keep you small. But discipline is about saying yes to what matters, even when it's uncomfortable, even when your body and mind scream no. It's about choosing the hard right over the easy wrong over and over again. That's where real transformation lives. Think about the athletes, the entrepreneurs, the leaders, the people who achieve extraordinary results. None of them avoided pain. They didn't skip the early mornings, the extra hours of study, the relentless practice, or the difficult conversations. They leaned into it. They embraced the challenge because they understood that pain is the currency of progress. Every time you resist an easy temptation, every time you push past fatigue, every time you persist despite fear, you are strengthening a muscle that cannot be built any other way, the muscle of discipline. Let's get practical. Embracing pain doesn't mean seeking suffering for its own sake. It means choosing actions that move you closer to your vision, even when they are difficult. It means doing the things you know you should do, not because they are comfortable, but because they are necessary. It could be having a difficult conversation with someone you care about, pushing through a workout when your body protests, or staying late to finish a task that others would ignore. These moments are tests. Each one is an opportunity to prove to yourself that you are stronger than your excuses, braver than your fear, and more committed to your purpose than to comfort. And here's the kicker. The pain is temporary, but the reward is permanent. Most people avoid short-term discomfort because they overestimate its permanence and underestimate the power of long-term payoff. Discipline flips that equation. It teaches you to tolerate the temporary, knowing that what you build, the strength, the habits, the momentum, the results, last far longer than the discomfort you endure. Every time you resist an easy choice in favor of a hard one, you are investing in yourself, compounding your ability to achieve, to grow, and to thrive. Delay of gratification is the practical application of this principle. It is choosing to wait for the bigger reward instead of succumbing to immediate pleasure. Think of the student who studies instead of partying, the professional who works extra hours to learn a skill, the investor who saves instead of spending. They understand something most people never grasp. Life is a long game, and the value of discipline lies in the cumulative effect of small, consistent decisions. Every time you delay gratification, you are teaching yourself control. You are creating a track record of consistency that compounds into massive results over time. Here's the challenge most people face. They underestimate the power of small decisions. Every no to an impulse, every yes to what matters is like a drop of water filling a bucket. Alone, it seems insignificant. Repeated consistently, it becomes unstoppable. That is the essence of embracing pain and delaying gratification. It's not about one grand sacrifice. It's about the daily victories over your impulses, your comfort, and your fear. That is the foundation of unshakable discipline. But let's be honest, this is uncomfortable. It's not easy to face the tension between immediate comfort and long-term reward. Your mind will resist. Your emotions will complain. Your environment may tempt you to surrender. That's why embracing pain requires more than willpower. It requires purpose. When your why is crystal clear, every moment of discomfort has meaning. Every difficult choice becomes a step toward a future that matters more than the present moment. And that clarity transforms resistance into fuel. Pain becomes a signal that you are growing, stretching, and evolving. Now, let's talk about fear. Because fear is the closest cousin of discomfort. Fear often masquerades as reason, convincing you to quit, delay, or settle. But fear is not your enemy, it is your indicator. It shows you exactly where growth is needed. The most disciplined people do not ignore fear. They acknowledge it, understand it, and act despite it. Every time you step forward in the presence of fear, you expand your capacity for courage, for resilience, and for consistent action. Pain, fear, discomfort, they are the raw materials of discipline. Embracing them intentionally transforms you into someone who cannot be shaken by setbacks. Here's another point that's often overlooked. Embracing pain strengthens your identity. Every time you choose the hard right over the easy wrong, you reinforce the story you tell yourself about who you are. I am disciplined. I am resilient. I am committed to my vision. Identity and action are inseparable. You cannot build discipline solely through words or motivation. It is forged through repeated choices in the face of discomfort. Each choice rewires your brain, strengthens your habits, and solidifies the identity of someone who is unstoppable no matter the circumstances. And it's not just about enduring physical or external challenges. Emotional and mental pain are just as critical. Discipline demands that you confront your doubts, your insecurities, and the internal voice that says you can't. Every time you face these internal obstacles and continue forward, you are building a fortress of self-mastery. Real growth happens when you refuse to shrink from discomfort, when you meet pain head on and use it as a stepping stone rather than an excuse. Now, imagine your life 5 years from now. If you never embraced discomfort, you'd probably be stuck in patterns of avoidance, living within the limits of what feels safe and watching opportunities slip by because you weren't willing to endure the temporary struggle. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine consistently choosing the hard right, delaying gratification, and leaning into the growth moments that others avoid. Imagine the momentum you'd build, the confidence you'd develop, and the mastery you'd achieve. That's the difference between a life led by fear and a life led by discipline. That's the power of embracing pain. Finally, understand this. Discipline is a skill, and like any skill, it is strengthened by deliberate practice. You cannot avoid discomfort and expect to become disciplined. You must seek it, face it, and persist through it. You must condition yourself to choose the long-term reward over the short-term pleasure every single day. And when you do, you'll realize something profound. Pain is no longer something to fear. It becomes your ally, your teacher, and your catalyst for transformation. It shapes the person you are, the results you achieve, and the life you live. Now that you've embraced pain, delayed gratification, and built the foundation of discipline in your life, there's one more truth that most people overlook. A truth that separates those who achieve extraordinary results from those who never quite get there. Discipline is not just an internal effort. It is amplified exponentially when you create accountability and leverage the influence of others. You see, no one achieves greatness alone. Every highly disciplined person, every high achiever, every leader has a network, a system, or a community that reinforces their commitment and holds them to a higher standard. Accountability is the multiplier of discipline, and social influence is the catalyst that makes consistency inevitable. Let me break it down for you. You can have the clearest why, the most specific goals, the perfect rituals, and boundless energy, but if you rely solely on yourself to maintain discipline, your progress will always be limited. You are human, and humans are susceptible to distraction, doubt, and complacency. That's why creating accountability is not optional, it's essential. Accountability provides external reinforcement for your internal commitment. It makes your goals tangible. It forces you to act when you might otherwise hesitate. It transforms discipline from an abstract concept into concrete results. Accountability can take many forms. It could be a mentor who challenges you to think bigger, a coach who tracks your performance, a business partner who depends on your contribution, or even a friend or family member who holds you to your commitments. The key is that someone or something is watching, evaluating, and expecting results. That expectation creates a sense of responsibility that is far more powerful than self-motivation alone. When you know someone else is counting on you, when your progress is visible, your actions become consistent. You no longer negotiate with yourself. You perform because your commitments have weight beyond your own desire. And here's a subtle but critical point. Accountability is not about shame or pressure. It's about empowerment. When someone holds you accountable, they are helping you align with your highest potential. They remind you of your vision when you forget, of your why when you waver, and of your standards when you are tempted to compromise. Accountability transforms discipline from a solitary struggle into a shared journey. And it makes consistency almost effortless because you are no longer carrying the burden alone. You are part of a system that supports, reinforces, and elevates you. Social influence works in the same way. You are a product of the people you spend the most time with. If you surround yourself with individuals who are disciplined, ambitious, and committed to growth, you absorb those qualities naturally. Their energy, their standards, and their habits influence your behavior more than you realize. Conversely, if you are surrounded by negativity, distraction, or complacency, it's far harder to maintain the discipline you've been cultivating. That's why choosing your environment and your community is not a trivial decision. It is a strategic one. Your social circle either amplifies your discipline or diminishes it, and the results are cumulative over time. Here's where most people fail. They underestimate the power of small, consistent social reinforcements. Accountability is not only about formal structures, it's also about everyday interactions. A quick check-in with a colleague, a progress update to a friend, sharing your goals publicly, or even posting your commitment in a visible place. These small acts create a sense of responsibility that dramatically increases the likelihood of action. Every time you make your goals known, you strengthen the invisible threads that connect your internal motivation with external expectations. Discipline is no longer optional. It becomes inevitable. And let's talk about leverage. Discipline is hard work, yes, but it can be made easier when you leverage the power of others strategically. Mentors accelerate your learning. Coaches correct your blind spots. Teams share the load of execution. Communities celebrate your wins and challenge your excuses. Leveraging influence is not about dependency. It's about multiplying your capacity. When you harness accountability and social influence, you expand your ability to act consistently, maintain focus under pressure, and achieve results that would be impossible alone. Another key point, accountability forces clarity. When you have to report on your progress, when someone else is tracking your results, you are compelled to define what success looks like in precise terms. You must clarify your goals, measure your progress, and identify obstacles in real time. That level of precision is exactly what creates unshakable discipline. Without it, your efforts are scattered, inconsistent, and easily derailed. With it, every action is intentional, every step is purposeful, and every decision reinforces your commitment to your vision. Accountability also teaches resilience. Life will throw curveballs, and there will be moments when your motivation falters. But when someone or something is holding you accountable, you are forced to persevere. You are reminded that your goals are bigger than temporary discomfort or failure. You learn to bounce back, adjust, and continue moving forward. Discipline, in this sense, is not just about consistency and comfort. It is about persistence through adversity. Accountability transforms moments of potential defeat into opportunities for growth. Now, let's consider a deeper layer, internal accountability. While external accountability is powerful, The ultimate form is when you hold yourself to the same high standard even when no one is watching. External structures teach you the habit of consistency, but internal accountability makes it permanent. It is the alignment between your actions and your identity, the unshakable belief that you do what is required, not for recognition, not for reward, but because it is who you are. That alignment between your internal standard and external reinforcement is what makes discipline unstoppable. And here's the beauty of combining accountability with social influence. It creates momentum that is self-reinforcing. When you act consistently, when you honor your commitments, when you leverage the energy of others, you build a track record of success. That track record becomes a psychological and emotional anchor. It reminds you of what is possible, reinforces your confidence, and strengthens your commitment. Momentum becomes its own force, driving you forward even when challenges arise, even when motivation falters, even when life tests you. Discipline becomes automatic because it is embedded in a system that supports your growth, not left to chance. Finally, understand this: accountability and influence are not limitations. They are accelerators. They allow you to achieve more, grow faster, and sustain discipline longer than you ever could on you own. They connect you to a network of energy, standards, and expectation that magnifies your efforts. They create an environment where consistent action is no longer a struggle. It becomes a natural expression of the person you are becoming. When your why, your goals, your rituals, your energy, your ability to embrace discomfort, and your accountability are all aligned, discipline stops being a choice and starts being your identity. So take a moment to visualize this in your own life. Imagine a support system that elevates your standards, holds you accountable, and reminds you of your purpose. Imagine surrounding yourself with people whose habits, energy, and focus inspire you to be better every day. Imagine leveraging that influence strategically to multiply your results, accelerate your growth, and maintain unwavering discipline, even under pressure. That is the power of accountability and social influence. That is the force that transforms consistent action into extraordinary results. That is how you take everything you've built and make it unstoppable. Discipline is amplified when accountability and influence align with your purpose, turning consistency into an unstoppable force.